welcome to Wilhelm and another Spotlight edition of the program. I am your host, Ben Beck, and if you know me, you know that over the years, whether it be here on the podcast or moderating on stage at conventions across the country, I've had the great pleasure of meeting and speaking with so many actors who are part of the DC television universe, from most of the cast of Arrow, many of which who I still actually interact with, to The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl. I've had so many interactions, and I've loved every single one of them. So, anytime I get the chance to speak to anyone new, I look forward to it. Which brings me to my guest. He's an actor who you would know from projects like Premium Rush, Yellowstone, but can currently be seen as John Henry Irons, aka Steel, on CW Superman and Lois, which returns for its third season this Tuesday, March 14th. Please welcome to Wilhelm, Wolé Parks.
Ooh, Ben, that was an amazing intro. Dude, I can listen to you talk for a while. You're like the movie trailer guy.
You know what? It's so weird because I get that a lot from a lot of my guests. But I mean, as somebody who's, like I mentioned, I've moderated panels and things like that. It just becomes part of it. I like making the guest feel good about being on my program.
Yeah, and it worked. I'm like hyped. I'm ready to go. I'm excited. I'm just like, I'm here.
Well, I appreciate that. We spoke a little bit before we started recording. I know you're currently filming right now, so thank you in advance for just spending a little time with me to have a conversation.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me, dude. I appreciate it.
I'm going to start off with this. This is not blowing smoke or anything like that. As I mentioned, I've been watching all of the CW shows from Arrow, The Flash. I've been on stage with, Amel and so many people. I don't even want to list them all. Superman and Lois, to me, as somebody who's been a Superman fan my entire life, is hands down to me the best thing DC has done when it comes to television.
Wow. Thank you. I appreciate, and I received that. No, seriously, thank you. It is a good show, but honestly, I'm going to give that because of Tyler and Bitsy. They have such amazing chemistry. I'm not knocking the rest of the cast. I mean, obviously we're there and it's a whole show, which is great, but the show lives and dies based on those two and how they're able to carry themselves and they're just chemistry together. I remember I've told people my favorite episode is one from season 1 is episode 11, where they kind of do the flashback episode where they're going through. You found out they're going through Superman's memory, and Tower was doing that, but they do it as a flashback thing.
Yeah,
and it's great because then it's actually moving the story forward. But what was cool is I got to just watch them work, and they're so good that I was in it. I was a fan, so yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, the show itself has such a... I mean, you're right. I mean, Tyler and Bitsy are fantastic. I'm very judgmental when it comes to people who have played Superman.
It's okay.
Up until a certain time, Christopher Reeve was my Superman. And, I've had the pleasure of meeting and being on stage with Brandon, and I've even told Brandon that, and Brandon's like, that's fine. I completely, I'm completely on board with that judgment. But then I saw Tyler. I was like, you know what? Tyler restored my faith in live action Superman.
I agree. It's interesting for me. I don't look. He does his take on it how he does in his whole acting process. For me, why I think it works and what I love about it, because I'm like you. I'm the same. Christopher Reeve, essential Superman. You know what I mean? That's the pinnacle to me. But why I think he meets that bar is the way I perceive it is that Clark is the real guy. And Superman is the alter ego. I think a lot of people who do it now, it's sort of like Superman is the guy and Clark Kent I put on awkwardness to make it work and humanize myself. Whereas I think, and this is maybe because of the idea of our show since so grounded in family, it's Tyler who approaches it from Clark is the guy. That's who he wants to be. He genuinely is like that. And it's just that he has to put on the whole Superman there because he wants to protect people and protect those he loves.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about the series as well, is that you're right. It's showing the other side of Superman. Everybody knows Superman is the hero and Clark Kent is the alter ego, but this is kind of swaps it a little bit. Yes, we get a lot of Superman, but this shows Clark Kent with Superman as the alter ego.
Yeah, and that actually goes to I think what Todd Helping, who created the show, who was our first showrunner. We have two of them. It's him and Brent Fletcher now. But I think that was his idea. He talked about Friday Night Lights and how do you ground a man who flies. That was his main focus. Is he wants to do that. It's about Clark because it's about family. that's what people connect to. But I'm not going to connect to a guy who can fly from here to Asia in 2 seconds. Like that doesn't. I don't know what that's like. You know what I mean? Like that's not gonna. I'm not gonna relate to that. But I can relate to somebody who's like dealing with like loved ones, dealing with like a mother dying or things like that, or now dealing with kids, whatever. Like that, I think is what people like about the show.
Yeah, exactly. But this episode isn't Ben and Wolé talk about Tyler. This is we want to talk.
I know. Oh, look at me. I'm like, yeah, no.
I'm just as guilty of it because I was doing it too. But the ensemble cast, I think, is honestly one of the things that makes the show so great. Tyler and Bitsy, as you mentioned, are fantastic. But you have Taylor, you have everybody else that makes this show as a whole something great to watch. How familiar with you? I mean, and John Henry Irons is an iconic character who, if I remember correctly, debuted in the run of the Death of Superman run.
That's correct. Yeah, that's
in the comic books. And he's since become a mainstay in DC Comics. So and how familiar were you with the character of Steel? And, when you took on the role, what was the pressure like? Because you had to know the fans were going to be.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, here's it's interesting. So yeah, I first I was familiar with the character. I read the Death of Superman series. Like I remember it was like
it's still one of my favorites.
It's amazing. Like, I remember like the black plastic it came in. Like I think I bought 2 copies. I bought 1 copy to read and then 1 copy I was going to keep, which I didn't keep because I'm 40 and I don't know where it went. But like
I have mine.
You still have it?
Yes, I do.
See, I was supposed to be you. I got lazy. I don't know what I do with it. But I remember all that and it was iconic because you get to see that. And I loved, that whole arc about what they did with like Superman and eventually coming back and John Henry Irons realizing that there's a loss there. Like we lost our hero and we lost like what he meant. And so he steps into the role simply to be an arbiter for that kind of justice and that those ideals, which is great. Of course, our show takes a different route, which has been interesting. But yeah, so I was originally a fan. That's how I knew about the whole thing. What was interesting for me though is like I at first when I got cast, I didn't know I was John Henry Irons. I honestly thought I was Lex Luthor. That's why I know we start with the Captain Luthor of it all. So I was worried because I know there's been a lot of iconic Lex Luthors. I'm like, I think about Gene Hackman, Michael Rosenbaum and all that stuff. So I was worried that fans could be like, oh, let's see how this guy does on that. So for me to play somebody who's not been like done live action before, Shaq excluded, where like, like for me, it actually has been kind of freeing. Because I've been able to put my own stamp on it. And because they gave my character such a rich backstory, it's been actually really nice and just to dig into that as an actor.
Yeah, and I know one of the things, we're both big fans, we know now that we're both big fans of that whole Death of Superman storyline, from the comic books. And what I've loved about Superman and Lois is the fact that they've actually taken a lot of elements from that storyline, but they've put their own unique twists on it. Like we've gotten... So far, as of now, from what I can attest, we've gotten obviously Steel, we've gotten the Eradicator, and we've gotten Doomsday, but in the form of Bizarro, which I thought was a brilliant twist.
I know, and it's so funny because because I'm the weird one on this on the cast because I am a fan, so I don't ask ahead of time. Like the way the show works, I'm sure most shows work. The showrunner will sit the cast down and be like, "Hey, this is your arc for the next season. This is what we're gonna do." Blah blah blah. I don't know. I always Todd knows that like I like to find out because I like to read in the script. So when I saw that happen, I was like, oh my God. And then I geek out because then I go crazy because I go down this weird rabbit hole. Because then I'm like, wait, is this a mother box? Is this is that what's happening? Are we getting Darkseid? Are we getting like Granny Goodness? What's going on? And Todd just like, because I texted him these things and he was like, that's a good idea. Ha ha ha, or whatever.
Just the fact that you mentioned Granny Goodness, I know you're a fan of the comic book.
Oh, love. like I watched Justice League. I rewatched Justice League the cartoon just for fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they're amazing comics. I mean, and like I know, we're going into this 3rd season, and I know you mentioned before we started recording, you guys are literally about to wrap the 3rd season as well. I'm very anxious because I know a few of the things that we've been missing is we haven't gotten Cyborg Superman yet from that run of DC Comics, which who knows if that's coming. But I do know you guys actually did cast a Lex Luthor for this season in another actor who I've had the pleasure of sharing the stage with, which is Michael Cutlitz.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Michael is so good. I haven't interacted with him as an actor yet. Our characters
Okay.
not crossed paths yet, but I've been telling from what I'm hearing, he brings. I'm trying to give any. I'm not going to give anything away. I'm just going to say it's a very different take, and I think people are going to be very excited for it. It's going to be really, really good.
That's amazing. I mean, look, I'm going even into the Supergirl element when we got. Oh, and now I can't even remember the actor's name.
Wasn't it or John Cryer, you mean?
John Cryer, yeah. Like that was a casting announcement where I was like, wow, that's interesting. And then I absolutely loved him. So I mean, I'm to the point now where again, I've interacted with Cutlets. I'm a fan of his work from, Lost and The Walking Dead, that like the moment I saw that casting, I was like, yeah, I can see it. I'm on board with it. I want to see what he can do.
Oh, yeah, and he can do. He can do. I'm just gonna say that he can do.
That's fantastic. I know we're already through. You guys are already through, just about done filming the third season, and I think from what we understand, there's still going to be at least one more after that. At least, knock on wood. That's what we're hoping.
Exactly, yes.
So I don't know if this is something you've already had a chance to do, or something, if you haven't, you would be interested in. But, over the years throughout the Arrowverse, we've had a number of actors who have actually taken the step behind the camera. Tom Cavanaugh has done it, David Ramsey, Danielle Panabaker, Katie Lotz, just to name a few of those people. Is that anything that would ever interest you, to take that step behind the camera and maybe direct?
100%. It's actually interesting because Tom Cavanaugh and David Ramsey have directed on our show multiple times. Yeah, Tom directs. This is the premiere episode of the third season. So on Tuesday, when it premieres, that's Tom. And Tom puts such a good stamp because he's so funny. Like he's just got great energy, and like he just so everything he does is like brilliant. It's a lot of, he brings out the humor. And David's directed 4 times now. He directs an episode this season, and I actually got to shadow him. I got to sit behind the director, not director. I wasn't directing, but I got to see behind the scenes and how that side works. So it's something I definitely want to do. My goal is to get into the Warner Brothers directing program when they reinstate it. That's the whole goal. And yeah, like, look, I'm a person where I don't need to be in front of the camera. I don't need to be seen all the time. What drives me is something that I'm passionate about. Mm-hmm. And I love the idea of telling these stories. And from a director's perspective, you're telling this huge overarching story rather than, as an actor, I'm just focused on what my character wants and what my character's doing. So like for me as an artist to be able to kind of live in both worlds, it's great. So that's definitely something that's coming for me on the horizon. That's the goal.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to the day when I actually get to watch an episode of that, or anything in general, and I see your name pop up as the director. Because that's always something, as a fan of those series, anytime I saw directed by Tom Cavanaugh, directed by Danielle Panabaker. And I will say, like, I'm such a massive fan of Cavanaugh's as well. I loved his work on The Flash. I love any episode that he directs. So to hear that he's directed episodes this season is very exciting. Good. He's somebody I've always wanted to meet and have not had the pleasure of meeting. However, David, I have shared the stage with probably 4 or 5 times.
Nice.
At this point, I love David. I love interacting with him at conventions. I've moderated panels with him where it's big groups, and I've moderated where it's him and I one-on-one, and it's the one-on-ones that are always more fun. Yeah,
because you really get to go in depth. You really get to like hone in on stuff. Yeah, it's good.
Oh, and he's just a fun person. To be on stage with. But on that note, of conventions, having mentioned that I've been, traveling to a bunch of them, I've moderated for a bunch of DC people. Is that anything you've done? I mean, because a lot of these people in this world are doing these conventions now. Have you been to one yet? Is it on the horizon? Is it something that you want to do?
Yeah, I know that's the sad part. Like when the show first came into inception or whatever, and I got cast, this is right before COVID. Like, I think I got cast something like the week before COVID or whatever. It was really short. Okay. Because, the idea was, we're going to film a pilot and go to Comic-Con and do all those things, and then like come back and shoot the show and all that. And I was super excited. Like, the idea of getting to go to Comic-Con is insane. Mm-hmm. And then COVID happened and shut it all down. And we never did anything. We did Paley Fest last year, which was great, but it still wasn't as much because you don't get to interact with the fans. It's sort of like more like what you're talking about. You're on stage, there's a moderator, and people get to ask questions, which is cool. But meeting the people is really, really nice because you get to see how it affects them. At some point, I haven't done any cons outside of like I said, Paley Fest, which isn't really a con. Possibly in the future, we'll see. My hope is just that we get to go to Comic-Con as a group. Like, if we do have, maybe 1 or 2 more seasons, if I would love if we get a heads up That's the main thing. So they're going to carve out a really good arc for the show and a good ending. And I would love to be able to go celebrate that by going to Comic-Con and being like, hey, this is our final season. Here's the last hurrah. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, on that note as well, there's been a lot of big shakeups in the world of DC currently, especially, with James Gunn and Peter Safran coming in and kind of, like I said, just shaking everything.
They're taking a sledgehammer. They're going like, listen, this is the idea. But they obviously they have a vision for what they want. And like James Gunn is so good. I don't know much about Peter Safran and his work, but obviously like they have a vision. They know what they're doing. So you just got to trust what they're working on.
Yeah, and I'm similar. Like, I'm not familiar with Peter Safran as well, but James Gunn, on the other hand, like, I'm a fan of, all of his work from what he's done with Marvel and now DC, even going back before that to Slither and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I'm intrigued by all these announcements that I'm hearing, but I still remain confident in what we're going to get is going to be good stuff. But how has that been like with the vibe on set with everything, hearing all these shakeups, the Arrowverse as a whole, with the exception of Superman and Lois, which is kind of a separate thing anyway.
Yeah.
The Arrowverse as a whole is coming to an end with the Flash this season.
It
so,
is.
I mean, has there been an interesting vibe on set? Is it, how has it been?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, that's the thing. Look, as I told everyone, I don't know. We don't know. Nobody knows. Like literally, I was talking with Todd and Brent this week. They still don't know. We're under the assumption that we'll get one more season. I don't know. So I think that is what's made it okay for us, because everyone is sort of in the same boat. Like, no, we think we get one more. It'll suck if we don't. Like, that'll be the sad thing, because like, again, it's not like we're having proper goodbyes. It's sort of like, okay, I'll see you again, however many months, we tend to start filming in September. So that's what it is. That's why we're, there's definitely that weird trepidation of like, by now we have known, I would prefer to know ahead of time, but we're just going with the assumption that we're coming back, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I would like to know, like, I want to hear, like, Superman and Lois is coming back for the fourth and final season. Yeah. Like, I want to hear that rather than rather than find out in August, CW cancels Superman and Lois.
100%.
And then we get a huge, massive cliffhanger, or we don't get that kind of conclusion to the story. And,
I agree.
I'm sure it's for you guys, that's absolutely, it's job security for you guys, but as fans,
100%, man. Yes. I mean, and that's the thing I go back to. Look, I try to look at things from a positive perspective and like try to live in gratitude. We've gotten 3 seasons, which a lot of shows don't get that. Most shows don't see the light of day, let alone get multiple seasons. So yeah, even if this is the final season, that would suck because we wouldn't have known ahead of time. That would be really tragic. But I hope that we do get at least one more. And like you said, we get to wrap it up and really conclude the story the way that they want to and we want to, rather than just sort of being like, oh, well, that's it. Good luck. Bye.
Yeah. Oh, well, now I got to find something else to do because, time to start putting the auditions back out there.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
To find more work. But, it's one of the things that I said, going back to something I mentioned a little bit earlier on about how good the show is to me. Mm-hmm. And I know a number of people who agree with me who have kind of been skeptical about like, the path that the Arrowverse has taken and the quality of some of the shows, but I still remain a fan of all of them. I'm still watching The Flash in the final season now, but Superman and Lois is something that I have said, and it's no disrespect to CW and all the great people that work at CW, but I have said Superman and Lois is too good for the CW. I want to see it. By the end of season 1, I honestly, and I put this out to a number of friends. I said, I want to see it move to HBO Max, and I want to hear a little language.
Yes.
Because now that we're on HBO Max, we've got a little bit more freedom to do that.
Yes. Well, that's the whole thing, which is so weird about it. Again, like you said, all the turmoil, because yes, there's a world where the CW, because they're trying to move in a different direction, they're like, we don't want you. And then we go to HBO Max. And that's not me. No, I don't know anything. I'm just saying it's just a possibility. Mm-hmm. And that will be interesting because for us, and this is what I don't think people really understand and really can respect about network TV. You have a limited amount of time to do everything because you have commercials. So it's like 42 minutes and change. You know what I mean? And they have to tell the story. We have a large cast. You have to do it in this a certain amount of time. Whereas when we're streaming now, Some episodes are 40 minutes. Some episodes are an hour long. It just depends on what story they want to tell. Like, I'm obsessed with Last of Us, as like so many people are right now.
I podcast on it every week.
Do because I played the game. And
Me too.
Like I was, because when they cast Bella Ramsey, because like I remember her from Game of Thrones. I was like, oh, it's interesting because I thought it was going to be Caitlin Devlin or whatever. Like I thought because she looked so much like Ellie.
Yeah.
But did you see? I don't want to get too deep in it, but they're killing it.
I know we have a limited time for this one, but I'm going to have you back on, and we're just going to talk The Last of Us.
That's all we're going to do. Go geek out about it. But the point is, they're able to tell their story they want because they have freedom of that. They don't have to worry about, we got 42 minutes. They can do whatever they want. So that would be, if that did happen, that would be nice to get that kind of freedom. But we'll see.
Yeah. Exactly. No spoilers, but what kind of things can we expect from this third season for the fans? Like, tease the fans a little bit.
I know.
Me being one of them.
What's up?
Me being one of them.
You being one of them. Okay. Yeah. Yes. I mean, like obviously superhero antics. Like it's. I think what I like, what I appreciate, what they try to do with the show is they try to do things a little differently. Like from the get go, was about like Superman's family rather than just him being like powerful. And we know about not Aunt May. Jesus, that's Spider-Man. About his like all that stuff or whatever. So this time, they have a family and they have kids, which is something we haven't seen before. This is the same thing with this season. I think they're taking the show in a different direction that people can hopefully relate to and understand. And I think I appreciate them trying something new. I'll tell you from a personal perspective, with John Henry Irons versus Bruno Mannheim, because Chad Coleman is ridiculous. I love me some Chad.
I've had Chad on the podcast.
Yeah, everybody loves Chad. Chad crazy. Chad be like, he's cerebral. So, there's just nothing but weirdness and crazy coming out of his head, but he's so brilliant. And so I will tell you, you're going to see a lot more John Henry Irons. And that's the thing. We see Steel, which is great. We forget that this John Henry Irons was a military man. He's trained. And you're going to see a lot more of me fighting as John Henry than just as Steel. That both happen. And we're taking it. It's going to be the most action you've ever seen out of Steel. It's going to be this season. It's going to be really cool. I got to do a lot of cool stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys are going to bring to us this season. As I mentioned, the season comes back. Season 3 debuts on the CW this Tuesday, March 14th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Wolé, where can people find you online if they want to find you on social media and follow you?
Yeah, very boring. Wolé Parks Instagram. That's it's me. There's a blue check. That's my main. That's
how you know.
Yeah. Keep it simple.
That's how you know. I know we've come to the end of the time, unfortunately. Stay on the call. I'm just going to wrap things up now. But to everybody else that's listening, Wolé, thank you for joining me for this. I'm sure the fans are very appreciative of the conversation as well.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
We wish you so much luck. We're looking forward to this third season of Superman and Lois, and of course, fingers crossed for more after that. To everybody else that's listening or watching on YouTube, thank you for being a part of this audience, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Wilhelm.